Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what we're going to make are cookies. But the cookies are wafer bar cookies. And I really can't say the name, but I'm sure you can get a look at them and know exactly the delicious wafer cookies or candy bars that I'm talking about. And what was nice about it, you know, they come in a little red package like that, is that I had leftover these wafer cookie bar candies from Halloween. And this recipe works perfect with the mini ones. So you need 8 ounces of these little mini wafer cookie bars. And what you're going to do is you're going to, you know, split them down the center because there's only 2 sides to the minis. Cut it down the center or break it with your fingers and then cut it in half. You need 8 ounces of them. Now, if 8 ounces, if you don't have a measuring scale, then that is about 1.5 cups of them. Once you split them by hand, if you prefer, or cut it with a knife, and then cut them in half across. 1.5 cups or your 8 ounces, okay? I believe when I counted my little mini packages, I believe I got about 18 to make the 8 ounces, okay? When they were still wrapped, okay, counting the wrap. So let's get started. This is a great tasting cookie. The only thing you got to worry about is not to over bake them, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Now, I no longer will have the ingredients written below the video. I'm sorry about that, but I'm going to go through clearly enough, and hopefully that if you're taking down the recipe, you can jot it down in your notes. You're going to start off with 2/3 cup of solid shortening. And if you do write to me and ask, can you use butter? No, I don't know, because I've only made these with the shortening as written, okay? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to cream this. You can certainly use your hand mixer if you don't want to use your stand, but I use the stand due to the video because it's much quicker for me and faster. Next thing you're going to put in is 1.5 cups of brown sugar. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to warn you about the sound of the mixer. Cream the brown sugar and the shortening together, and that might take you 2 or 3 minutes. You know, I'm just moving it along because of the video. You're also going to be putting in a teaspoon of vanilla, so you want to beat that in. And then you're also going to be putting in 2 eggs, one at a time, to combine them, and they've been at room temp. Clean the sides and get to the bottom as best I can where it tends to stick. And again, beat this till it's well combined. And again, that might take you that 2 or 3 minutes depending on the speed. Okay. And this is what it will look like. Okay. Oh, that smells so good with that brown sugar. Now, let's get the dry ingredients together. You're going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, okay? You're also going to be putting in 1/3 cup of unsweetened baking cocoa, because that's what's going to make these chocolate. So that is 1/3 of that. And then with my little whisk, I'm just stirring it in, whisking it together. You're also going to put in a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And I'll just stir that in. I want to get all that unsweetened cocoa in. And the last thing you're going to put in is a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So, very quickly again, 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, 1/3 cup of unsweetened baking cocoa, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, okay? And again, you're talking about the 1½ cups or the 8 ounces of the mini wafer chocolate cookies, okay, that are cut in half. Now, you will need a baking pan or sheet. Go ahead and use your parchment paper or your mats, your baking mats, or if you don't, you can use nothing at all because you don't want to, grease. You don't have to grease the pan. And now I'm just going to take the dry and bring it into the wet a little at a time so that it doesn't go all over the kitchen. Okay, now this is the part that is the little bit tricky part. You want to mix it, but you now have to take your, I've got to take my paddle off. I'm just using my gloves here to my fingers. Sometimes it's just a little bit faster, especially because I have a cast on my hand, so I'm a little bit more awkward in doing this. Okay, so just take that excess off and set it aside. Okay, now you have your cookie dough mixed. This is only the hardest part of this recipe, is folding in these, because you really don't want to break them up, but you want to mix them quite well. Okay, so pour those in, and then as best as you can, just try to fold them in. Now, every cookie might not be perfect. When they do bake up, well, I'll show you the finished product. So if you really like a pristine looking cookie, you might not like this one. But it might not look, perfect baked, but they're absolutely delicious. So that's the only hardest part, I think, is folding in all the wafer cookie candy bar here, and then not to overbake them, and I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, so I'm just going to take off my excess. Okay, now you're going to bake these cookies at 375 degrees, and they can take you anywhere from 7 to 9 minutes. But I'll be honest with you, I start watching mine around 6 minutes. Mine came up today about 7 to 7.5 minutes. If you overbake them, they'll be very hard and kind of tough. You want them to be, on the chewy side, all right? And then I'm just using the second, not the smallest, but the second in line, about scoop. It's about a tablespoon. Now you'll want to put them about 2 inches apart to bake them. Now, if you see that you're getting too much, pieces of candy in one cookie, you might have to pull it out. But it's no big deal because it can't just always come out, like I said, perfect. Yet these I'm lucking out. This batch is kind of grabbing one piece of candy here. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with showing you how to place them 2 inches apart. But like I said, be patient. That, if you see that one piece is in there, that's about good. And then just, use your finger and push it in or that kind of thing. But that's what they'll look like, As I said, they're not going to be a perfect cookie. That when you take it out, there might be a little finagling of, adding the piece of candy or taking one piece out, that kind of thing. But the cookie's well worth this. It really is. So again, put them in at 375. Rotate them if you're doing 2 trays at a time. Don't over bake them. I'm going to just take off my gloves here to show you what they look like once they're baked up. And this is how they turn out. As I mentioned, they'll be a little bit misshaped. They'll have a nice golden brown on the bottom. And let's break into one to show you. And you can kind of see on the tops of these where they'll stick out. They're not going to be even. They're not going to be all flat. They'll have individual characteristics to them. Okay. And let's break into one. Now, where the candy is, you might have a dark bottom there because it melted and the chocolate melted, okay? But let's break into it. And I don't know if you can see, but it is a chewy cookie. And there we go. We've got 2 pieces in this one, on this cookie. And then you can see that great candy, that wafer candy bar in there. Okay, but it is a moist, chewy cookie. It will have a hard bottom and a hard top to them. If you over bake them though, they will be really hard as a rock. Now you might like more of a crispy, hard cookie, but it really is designed to be a chewier, a softer. In fact, when you go and take them out of the oven, truly, you're gonna think, oh my gosh, they're raw, they're not cooked. And if you do that and you leave them too long, they'll look better, but when they come out, they're going to be very, very hard and you're not going to be happy with them at all, and they'll probably have burned bottoms. So when you do take them out of the oven, like I said, they will look almost that they're not baked properly or they're still on the raw side, but they do set up. In other words, they firm up, and it takes about 2 minutes on your cookie sheet or your cookie pan before you release them and plate them, put them on a cooling rack, that kind of thing. Because before the 2 minutes, they will break up for you. So they need that couple minutes to set. And then they do look. Then it's visually looks like, oh, this cookie is properly baked. It really does. So that's the only thing, the little glitches to this cookie. But it's well worth it. I think if you try this, I think you're going to like it and you're going to enjoy them. Now, if you try the recipe and you like it, we'll leave a comment because I'd like to hear from you. Or if you have a question, I'll try to answer in a timely fashion. Sorry about not putting the recipe down, but I'm not alone on this. But I'm just very tired of seeing my work being taken to other locations and being posted and pinned and claimed as somebody else's videos, and it's not worth it for me anymore. So I'm sorry about that. If you're so inclined, you'd like to subscribe to my channel, boy, I'd appreciate it, or even give the video a like. But please watch me solely on YouTube because that's the only place I put my Diane Lovetobake videos on. So thanks for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.